folks, welcome to the channel. What we're looking at today, those of you that follow the channel already know, we have a Stihl, originally a 034 AV, has a closed port 46mm cylinder on it. Quite a bit of work done to it. So far it seems to be running really good. I'm still tweaking on the build, but it has one issue that's driving me crazy. If it's set a day, it's really hard to start. You may as well just give it a prime shot in the air filter. One day took 20 pulls. It was after sitting like 2 days. This morning I came out and it was, I think, 35 pulls to bust off. I think a lot of it's due to the choke flap in this carburetor, or maybe the throttle shafts or something. It's not an air leak or anything. New crank seals, everything's tied on the saw. It's carb related, so what I've done is I dug around and found another carb. This is a OEM carb, it's not aftermarket. It's been ultrasonic cleaned a couple of times. Went through, new diaphragms put in it. I'm gonna try that and hopefully it starts a little easier. But if you're gonna do this swap with this 340 360 plastic with 360 air filter, it's not as simple as one might think. First off, you have to ditch the factory tank vent. You can make a tank vent with a screw and a piece of hose. Like if you order a tank vent for like a, I think like a 390, 039, I think an 028, an 038 similar. Even the OEM part is just a piece of hose with a screw in the end of it. I usually cut the head of them off, but I chose not to do that here. But what you're gonna have to do is, these originally, and somebody's gonna think this is all cobbled up. It kinda is. It was kind of a, it was a rescue. The thing had been sitting in my great uncle's yard probably for a decade. They said there's no way anyone will ever get that done again. I like a good challenge, but I threw some new parts at it, some other parts I had here. Like I said, it's a fresh build all the way up. Still running the factory cylinder though, and a lot of factory parts, but the 034, these studs are shorter because it uses a thinner air filter and different rear plastic. But what I've done is, again, I have a lot of parts laying around. These are out of a like a 029 air filter, ms360, and they just so happen to be long enough to work and make that air filter usable. And you have to have that 360 style air filter to run that plastic. Probably would have been easier just to find some old used 034 AV plastic. When I got it, all the plastic was gone, the muffler was gone. Anything that could be seized on it was seized, even this carburetor. And I'm thinking a lot of that's the issue, but let me zoom in and show you guys what things are looking like. It does seem to be choking all the way, or maybe it ain't. That's probably the issue. And someone had even said that in the comments. Yeah, the flap's just not going back in the carburetor all the way. If we do that, it may be as easy as loosening up that flap and fixing it. As you can see, maybe this one, the choke flap goes all the way back in the carburetor. I don't know what the culprit is on the one on the saw, but I'm telling you, it's like you're not having any choke at all, or very little. So it just does not close up like that other carburetor. This saw is running really strong. Once it starts back easy. So I think it's just to do with that choke. One other issue is it wants a little more low jet than I think it should need. So it could be an issue with something internally in the carburetor as well, in the jets or something. So, and it has been ultrasonic cleaned a bunch of times. maybe it needed cleaned one more time, who knows, but I just decided just to build a completely different carbon stick on it, and hopefully that one doesn't have any issues. But and when I took it out into the woods to work with it, the dang trigger kept coming off of it. But the reason for that being is the butterflies in the carburetor were stuck, and you know, someone had been trying to trigger it, I guess, who knows, and kind of foobarred up the throttle linkage. And again, if you think it's just one big cobbled up or one big hot mess, you're probably right. A lot of these junker builds we get here that way, and I've been taking carb nuts off. I didn't have you in the frame there. I do apologize for that. See if we can bleed off what tank pressure it would have, because it's hot over there in that other shop where this thing was sitting. Push our fuel line off. You always want to push fuel lines off, guys, and it's still going to squirt gas, and that's a good thing. It's showing we have tank pressure, but it's not an issue with our homemade tank vent. That thing may even look to be bent, I'm not sure, but it has a lot of play in it. Let's go ahead and get the other one in place. Really hoping that's the issue. This one feels tight. It's closing up all the way, so hopefully that fixes things. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get our linkage mated to the carburetor. It just kind of hooks into place, stays in there like that. Or we can do it once we kind of get it on there and the fuel line on it, because there's fuel pouring everywhere, guys. And that's a good thing. I know somebody that fools with these is wondering what that setup is on the fuel line. The new fuel lines that I ordered for this were different. You can do the same thing on an 026. Is what I've got is, someone's probably going to say that's the issue, but it's not. It's getting plenty of fuel, there's no kinks. I snipped that fuel line off at the tank. If you know how these lines are made, you do. If you don't, you don't, I guess. But I'll snip that fuel line off at the tank, and I'll take an 066 elbow or 660 and push down in there, and then just run me a regular piece of fuel line around and up. That works on a lot of saws. I've started doing that on a lot of different ones. Works like a pro. Now let's see if we can get that linkage in here worked into place. Just hope so anyway. Again, that linkage had kind of seen better days, guys. It's got to kind of go behind the adjustment screws. There we go. And into place there. Alright, we want that pushed up. Operator presence lever has a notch here. Your spring here. Got two little grooves. A lot of times it's easier just throttle the saw. And in most cases it'll hold that thing into place. And if everything goes correctly, and remember this cover has a little notch on the front of it that kind of has to set in, and everything kind of goes in like it should. Then you got your screw to go back in the bottom. In most cases that is a flat head. I've seen Phillips heads. In this case I bought a bunch of T25s. Putting that in, it's a lot easier if you don't have bar and chain on the saw, and you can kind of turn it up where you can see what you're doing. But if you have the bar and chain on the saw, it's just one of them good luck kind of deals. But we're getting close to seeing if we can fire this thing up. Just kind of wonder why this carburetor was in my bucket of carburetors and hadn't been used on another project. I bought a bunch of parts a few years back and built a couple of saws that I traded off and sold. I've had a lot of different saws come through this shop. Okay guys, choke lever in place, and we got a closing choke. It's closing all the way going back in the venturi, so should be good to go. Make sure that stays and lays right in there, because you can forget it can fall down. It just snaps into the handle here. And we're going to put our air filter on. These air filters actually have a notch for that choke mechanism to clear. May end up eventually finding some 034 rear plastic that'll fit that other air filter. So I have a brand new one laying here, which that's also a brand new filter, but and the choke is still working, watching it back here. So hopefully this thing works. That is one hard ass piece of wood, guys. This chain is not set up for cutting hard wood at all. Okay guys, I'm going to edit this in. It has been a couple of days. I've been starting it on and off. Usually second pull now. That's actually really good for one of these saws, but hey, it is a fresh build. There's a lot of new parts, so maybe it won't make a liar out of me out here in this heat today. She's cold, not been ran. So, well, it kind of hit there. Could use some new clutch springs or a new clutch. I'm gonna dig around. I think I might have a another clutch over there in a drawer somewhere in a box, but if I'm moving around in the woods with it, I just throw the chain brake on. It's not that big of an issue, which normally I do anyway. But there you have it, guys. That fixed the 10, 15, 20, 30 pull start problem we was having. Y'all have a good one.